Hey there, Blip here, and today you guys have a very special kind of video. This video is going to be looking at a viewer's Mythic Plus dungeon he's done, and I'm going to be showing you guys what improvements he can make, what mistakes he's been making, and also just some of the things he does well as well. Now, it's really important you guys let me know what you think of this video at the end, or partway through whenever you decide to stop watching, because it will let me know if I need to make more videos like this, and yeah, I could potentially watch some more of your clips as well. Otherwise, Sherlock is a player that's only been playing the game as a Fire Mage now for 2 months, so don't be hard on him. He actually is a pretty good player for the time he's invested. His UI could use a bit of work, but it looks like he's changed up a bit. Like he sent me 2 videos and decided to review this one because it's the second one he sent me after he's made a few improvements. Otherwise, yeah, if you like this type of video as well, be sure to subscribe and I will show you more stuff like this. Otherwise, let's get straight into it. So the dungeon has started. Now, yeah, they're going to pull big. I want to see a nice juicy AoE flame strike combustion here. Okay, so the first thing I'm already noticing is that you're using a combustion macro. Although, okay, so you're using a combustion macro to get the first stuff done, and then you're going into some AoE here. Okay, so you're doing this really wrong right now. What you should have done is you should have combusted, and then you should have transitioned into using shifting power midway through your combustion, and then you just use your rune of power afterwards, and you just keep dumping stuff on flame strikes. You should be spending everything on flame strikes. This was a very big pull, so you should have been able to do a lot of damage. And you didn't time warp either. I don't know if that's your group that didn't want to time warp or whatnot, but normally this big pull at the start, I think a lot of groups do time warp because it's pretty spicy and it just means you can do a lot of damage on it. You easily could have done, I think, 20k damage in your combustion here if you did your shifting power within your combustion window with your dumping the rest of your flame strikes on dumping the rest of your fire blasts on flame strikes, which will mean you do a lot more damage. Okay, so there's 3 mobs packed together here. You should just be dumping everything on Flame Strike here. This is where you should be putting your rune of power down now, and you should just be hard casting Flame Strike until the mob gets below 30%. And when the mob gets below 30%, then you just start scorching off of it and then casting Flame Strike. So this is a very big pool right now. You're kind of, yeah, okay, so you're getting scorches, you're putting it on Flame Strikes, and you're targeting a shade for some reason now. You should be targeting one of the 30% health mobs. Okay, so you're shifting powered here. Like, everything is dying here. Personally, I would have saved my shifting power for the next pack with my combustion. But yeah, and now you're combusting this pack. Now, the reason I think this was a waste of a combustion is because everything's pretty much dead. The only thing that was really up is these shades, and you know you have a big pool coming up next where you're going to have 4 mobs together, where you can do a nice juicy AoE flame strike combustion. Sorry, I need to mute this. I should have got that out of the way in the beginning. But otherwise, yeah, now you can single target. When there's like 3 targets moving around like this, it's okay to just single target them down, because like flame striking isn't really going to do much when they're being moved out of your flame patch and stuff. So this is fine. Okay, you didn't need the flame strike there at all. That was a waste of a hot streak. You got lucky with a crit there, but otherwise you would have accidentally cancelled one of your crits with that scorch you just did. Okay, now the Prideful is coming up. Okay, so that's a miscalculation I made then. I didn't actually look at the percentage. That combustion you did was fine, because you're obviously going to get your combustion up on the boss here, on the Prideful here. So yeah, I take that back what I said earlier. That combustion was completely fine. You might as well have just used it, because you're going to have it up for the next pack anyway, which is all that matters. So good analysis you did there. You used your shifting power on this mob. Now I think that's a bit more debatable. I don't think you needed to use shifting power to have your combustion up for this pool, and then you could have also had shifting power within this combustion, so you could get your combustion of cooldown quicker, and you would also do a lot more damage. Either way, you're going to combust now. Now, you're doing a single target combustion for some reason. You're losing a lot of damage by doing this. On 4 targets, like an AoE combustion starts doing a lot of damage with your flame strikes, but then you decide to finish with a flame strike. Also, I've noticed, and also from watching the previous clip, which you guys haven't seen, you tend to also fireball and combust off that fireball, which is good, but you combust at the very start of the fireball cast, which means you're going to miss out on the potential extra flame strike at the end of your combustion, which is really bad. So make sure you're only ever combusting when your fireball is about to finish casting. I'm guessing what most likely that is because you're playing with preheat's combustion macro, you're just spamming it, and I'm guessing at the start of that macro it makes you cast Fireball first, which means that you're just spamming it, and because it uses stuff in a sequence and combustion is on the global cooldown, what's happening is you're fireballing and combusting together. You have to make sure that the Fireball cast almost finishes before you continue spamming it. You shouldn't have pulled this here. You should always wait for the tank to pull stuff together because you never know what he has planned. If he did plan to pull these 2 mobs or 4 mobs together, like, you've kind of stopped that from happening now because they've been pulled apart. You have your Combustion up soon. You should be saving your Combustion and your Fire Blast charges now, so you have it up for next pack. Okay, so there's another pack incoming here for some reason. Just hardcast Flame Strike on this. I would be hardcasting my Flame Strikes right now, and then Scorching when this guy gets below 30%. Okay, so that was a big mistake there. Again, I like to use my Shifting Powers with my Combustion whenever I can. It wasn't a bad idea to use your Shifting Power here, but it wasn't great because now you're not going to have it for reducing your Combustion cooldown, which is going to give you way less damage on this next pack. Otherwise, what I would do here was I would just double Scorch. I would prepare a Hot Streak just to get ready for this next pack because you're only going to be pulling 2 mobs together, I think. If you are pulling all like 6 together here with the ground keepers on the left, then it's a different story. Okay, but you're not. So yeah, single target Combustion is fine here. One thing I would really recommend having as well is a Recaller to track your Infernal Cascade. I can't see anywhere on your UI where you're tracking Infernal Cascade, which is your Conduit, which is going to cost you a lot of damage. Now right now you're spamming Arcane Explosion. It's not bad to do that, but it's better just to hardcast Flame Strike if you can do that. Okay, so you're shifting powering. Now we'll just dump some of these Fire Blasts on Flame Strikes, which you're doing. I'm getting destroyed right now. You could have ice blocked a bit earlier when you were a bit in danger, but it looks like you're fine. You shouldn't really be touching the shades. The shades are just going to die themselves. You should just be focusing on the big guy. Otherwise, just have a look at your cooldowns now. 20 seconds on Combustion and 4 seconds on Render Power. Well, this is getting really spicy. So you should just be fireballing on this guy now. Yep, that's good. You should be moving away from that. Okay, now you should pay more attention to surroundings when the Prideful's up. Always be looking for this AoE on the floor. If you decide to combust this, I personally wouldn't have done that. And also I would have moved away from the tank. You know the tank isn't going to want to move the Prideful that much. You should have moved away so you didn't hit him. But either way, your Combustion was kind of wasted here because now you have a bigger pool where you could have used your Combustion and the mob was going to die anyway within the next couple of seconds. So this next pool, like here, you could have had a big AoE Combustion with your Shifting Power in it and you could have just done a lot more damage. So you let your Fire Blast cap there. You should have used the Fire Blast while you were in your Shifting Power to avoid that. Scorching a bit early there, but it's okay. Everything's dying fairly fast here, so you can just do that. But you see now that your damage on this pack is really low because you didn't have your Combustion for it and those guys had their cooldowns for it, which means you're just going to start falling behind in damage a bit. Okay, so pulling 3 mobs together here. Again, in 3 mobs is when I ideally do my Flame Strike AoE, like just hard casting Flame Strikes. Now you see stuff is pulled together. Now I would combust off this. I would cast a Scorch, combust off that, and then use my Shifting Power within my Combustion after I've spent all my Fire Blasts. But you decide to use your Combustion after you've used your Shifting Power. Very questionable. You're going to be losing a lot of damage from doing that. A lot of damage. I'm not even kidding. You lost at least like 6 to 7k DPS just from that mistake alone. You haven't used your Shifting Power within any of your Combustions yet. You should be doing that. It's going to give you a lot of burst damage towards the end of your Combustion and give you more Fire Blasts to spend on Flame Strikes. So you spend your Fire Blast in your Combustion first, you spend one of your Phoenix Flames, make sure you spend all of the Hot Streaks on Flame Strikes, and then once all those conditions are met, you use your Shifting Power, spend your Fire Blasts again on Flame Strikes, and then just maybe use up a Phoenix Flame or 2 and then Dragon's Breath. So now let's look at your cooldowns again. Your Shifting Power is up, but your Combustion is not. So this is a pack where I could say, sure, you could Shifting Power if you want to. Okay, you do. Then I would just hardcast Flame Strikes. There's no point in saying, okay, yeah, you're doing that, but you cancelled it for some reason. I guess you didn't mean to do that and you accidentally hardcasted it. But you should be hardcasting Flame Strikes here. You're just missing out on a lot of potential damage from doing that. And then as soon as a mob hits below 30%, you should be using Scorch and then generating Flame Strikes from the heating ups you get. Okay, Combustion's coming up. You could combust this, but I wouldn't. Again, like, you're missing out. Like, it's not really our job as fire mages to kill the Prideful. The only time I ever combust Pridefuls is if the group is in danger, because there's no reason to kill them super fast, and by using your cooldowns before the Prideful dies, you're missing out on the 20% damage increase you're getting Or it might even be more. I think it's 20%. It could be more. But yeah, by doing that, you're not going to have a nice AoE combustion for this pack now, and you're missing out on a lot of damage. I also noticed that you don't have interrupt on your bars. That's not very good for Mythic Plus, because then you have these mobs here where you could like interrupt them to get them in, and also just interrupt in general for Mythic Plus is very important. Again, I would be hard casting Flame Strike right now because it would get me more damage on this pack, but now there's some more below 30%, I would swap to them, Scorch off them and use my Flame Strikes on that. But you're using your Scorches on the low HP stuff, on the high HP stuff, so you're not really getting benefit from that. Now you're casting Scorch while the mob is above 30% when you should be fireballing, you're missing out on a bit of damage from that. A good Ice Block, that was a very smart Ice Block. If you didn't Ice Block there, you probably would have died, but then you cancel your Ice Block for some reason. You should have just stack it out, played it patient because your healer is struggling from the looks of things, and then you can just go back into your rotation after your Ice Block is over. Okay, so big pull here, I want to see a nice AoB combustion. You're doing a single target combustion. Again, you're way too reliant on this macro. You're losing a lot of damage. Your Flame Strike would do so much damage here, and by using a full single target combustion on a pack like this, it is hurting your DPS so much. And because of that also, you can't use your shifting power in your combustion because you still have so many spenders to spend, and it's really bad. You have to make sure that you're using your combustion on Flame Strikes whenever there's 4 or more targets, even on 3 or more targets. On 3 or more targets, it's still beneficial to hard use Flame Strikes in your combustion. But that depends on if you want to get your combustion up quicker or not, and on the situation at hand, right? So all your cooldowns will be up for the boss now. Again, I can't see where your time warp is. I'm assuming you have it up, but I can't see that, so we'll just have to see. Obviously you have the cooldown up on it, but I don't know if you have the debuff of time warp on right now. I don't know, again, you just like to use your shifting power a lot when your combustion isn't on cooldown yet. It's okay to do that sometimes, but really in this situation it's not. You should be saving your shifting, but you should be saving everything for the boss. It sucks that this pull was done out of nowhere, but at least if you're going to use your shifting power, you should have also combusted on it first and then use your shifting power, because by not using your shifting power, you're losing a lot of damage. So yeah, Prideful, you spawned a Prideful, so you should have combusted on that pack and then shifting powered for combustion cooldown, because you will always almost get your combustion off cooldown just from Prideful being up, because it has to spawn, and then you get your kindling, and it takes about 50 seconds to kill or 40 seconds to kill, so you always get your combustion up. So always combust before a Prideful, unless the situation is spicy, then you can combust on the Prideful. Again, you wasted a heating up there by casting a Scorch while you already had a hot streak ready. It doesn't happen too often, so it's not a big deal. Even I make that mistake quite often in raiding. Again, you're using your shifting power. Like, there's no reason to. On single target, shifting power does such little damage. Like, you should always be saving it. And again, you're using your fireball at the start of your combustion here, wasting like a second or two of your combustion. You should really be careful with that, because you're missing out on a lot of damage. You did time warp, yeah, so you could have got an extra hot streak in this combustion if you didn't do that. This boss is dying extremely fast though, which is nice to see. So now, because your shifting power is kind of in an awkward spot in terms of cooldown with your combustion, you can just use your shifting power now in this next pack coming up. You use your mirror images here. Okay, this is, you're definitely getting a ninja pull, right? Well, no, actually the shroud does protect your mirror images. Okay, you're lucky. Your mirror images in general, like, you should just use them as a defensive. They do negligible damage, and you should just use them as a defensive, honestly. Like, you can't, if you really want the damage from them, sure, but that's only really in single targets ever worth using, and even then. Okay, so combustion's coming up, but you spent all your fire blast charges. And now you, again, like, this is really bad, because now you spent all your fire blast charges, you've used your shifting power, and now your fireball even got cancelled in your combustion. I feel really bad for you here, because this combustion is very underwhelming. So you can actually decurse yourself here if you have your decurse on your bars. Can I see it? Let me just make sure. Okay, you do have decurse, it's bound to your Z key. You can always decurse yourself when that debuff is coming in, which is going to make you immune to the stun, which is going to give you more damage on this boss. Also, I don't like your boss mods here. Like, you have your boss cast timers on top of your weak aura, I think it's a weak aura, or some other action bar you have in the center of your screen, which is going to like cover up your spells and make it harder for you to see what's on cooldown and what's not on cooldown. It does look like you have weak auras though, so I would recommend, honestly, getting a Infernal Cascade macro, oh sorry, not macro, an Infernal Cascade weak aura, just so you can track like what your Infernal Cascade is at. It's really nice to see, and it's a bigger deal than you think. So the boss is dying here. I wouldn't combust on it, I would say, for next pack. Again, you could have decursed yourself here. Oh, you have a PvP trinket on, or are you're a Blood Elf, right? So yeah, that's weird. Why are you using a PvP trinket? That's a lot of DPS loss. Again, you're doing a single target combust here. You just don't ever use your flame strikes. Trust me, using flame strikes in your combustion is going to give you way more damage, and I think that's where you've become way too dependent on this preheat macro, and it's just making you do no damage in your combustions when you should be doing like twice your damage on this pack. Like honestly, just by doing your okay, so you put your arcane torrent on your bars just so you could purge. I like the effort. Okay, so it looks like you ninja pulled here. You should really just wait for the tank to do the pulls, or it's just going to make the pull messier. The quicker the tank pulls everything together and gets everything ready for you, the quicker you're going to be able to do your damage. And now you're spamming arcane explosions. You should be hard casting flame strikes on this many targets until you can scorch your target, and then you would scorch a flame strike. Your combustion's coming up. I don't think you're getting a prideful for the boss, so you should be saving your combustion for the boss. Yeah, okay, good. And now run for your life, yeah, and you're doing that very well. Yeah, unfortunately you guys ninja pulled this. I don't know if this is going to give you a prideful now or not. If it gives you a prideful, you should combust this, and if it doesn't give you a prideful, then you should just ignore it. And just do your single target rotation on it. Okay, so again you're combusting too early on your fireball, so losing your damage, but as I can see you're spamming the preheat macro, so it's fine. Like right there, that is the perfect example where the macro isn't good. You ended up wasting the Phoenix Flames because it cast it while you had a hot streak already, and you just lost a lot of damage. Like, you really should just get used to playing without the macro. As I said, the macro is a nice band-aid, but in content like Mythic Plus, where you just cannot depend on a macro like that, you have to play without it. You have to get used to that. Okay, so this is interesting. Like that's how you normally. You used your shifting power within your combustion there. I mean, that's good damage, but you didn't spend all your stuff first. Whenever you're going to a combustion like that, you want to have your fire blast ready. Spend everything first, apart from all your Phoenix Flames, because it'll take too long. You spend 1 Phoenix Flame, 3 fire blasts, as I mentioned earlier. Then you spend them all on flame strikes, and you then shifting power, and then you spend more on flame strikes. I understand why you did that. It's quite nice, yeah. You get to like get big damage on all the small lads, but you're going to do less damage overall now because you wasted all the potential flame strikes and stuff you could have done. So in this dungeon, you really want to be just aiming down. You shouldn't be single targeting the boss right now. Yeah, you should be killing all these ghosts. Otherwise, otherwise the ad would just keep healing. So now they're all like low and on the outside, you should be single targeting them down. But obviously if you want to just do maximum damage, then you should just flame strike off the guy. So your combustion's coming up here. I would combust on this guy because you're going to get a prideful after this. But you have no fire blast charges ready, so I don't think you're going to combust on this because I don't know if you were prepared for it. And you're still spending your Fire Blast. So I guess you're planning on saving your Combustion now until Prideful, or you're saving it until boss. Hopefully you're saving it till boss. Using it on the Prideful would be a waste in my eyes. But you should have also had your Combustion on cooldown already by using it on this guy. Because he would have been up for the boss for sure. Again, use your shifting power on the ad. I understand why you want to do it for a bit more damage on him. You shouldn't ever really be using your shifting power for damage in single target scenarios, and you should be using it more for the cooldown reduction it provides. By doing what you just did, you're just wasting a lot of damage you could have had on the boss now. It's going to take you longer to get your Combustion of cooldown. It looks like you cancelled your Fireball there. And again, because you've made like a slight mistake now, the macro gets thrown out of whack a bit. It looks like you stopped using the macro though and did go freeform there a bit, so that's pretty good to see. Yeah, that's all for this video clip. Hope you guys found it helpful, and I hope, Sherlock, you've learned a lot from this. As I said, Sherlock's only been playing the game for 2 months now, so don't be hard on him. He definitely has some stuff to work on, but he's also doing pretty well for just, you know, starting that recently. So honestly, you have to give him credit where it's due. He's already stepping into +10s. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this video. If you did like it and would like to see more stuff like this, then let me know. Because then for sure I could, you know, show more clips on here and maybe sort something out about that and do like 1 of these or 2 of these a week. Yeah, if you did like this video, then be sure to subscribe. Also, if you want to help support the channel, which would help me out a lot, you can check out the Patreon and the YouTube memberships in the description. If you also want to come and speak to me and talk about stuff with Mage and speak to other people in the community, you can come to the Discord I set up recently, which I put in the description as well. And yeah, I'd also like to thank my supporters, my YouTube supporters, TM, Aaron, and Newstar. And I would also like to thank Marvin, my Patreon supporter. Honestly, you guys, I can't thank you enough for helping to support me. It means so much to me. And yeah, it's just helping me get that 1 step closer to turning this into my full-time job, which is what I really want. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you had a good day, and I will see you in the next video.